Hello, I'm Derek Manky, Chief of Security Insights with Fortinet's FortiGuard Labs. It's a pleasure to be here at ICT Day talking about a new concept, relatively new, that we're working on in FortiGuard Labs. And what I'm going to present today is something that I like to describe as threat actor DNA, really getting into the makeups and mechanic and the digital DNA of cybercriminal groups and organizations, not just answering the what. We know there's ransomware, we know there's bad things happening out there, but the who, the why, the how, and really understanding this in a more high resolution threat intelligence model so that we can simplify the noise, right? Extract the signal from the noise and create strategic solution guides for CISOs to be able to respond with priority to these attacks as well. So this is my presentation today, and I will share with you now some really new and exciting, quite frankly, material that we're working on within the labs. I've been with Fortinet for over 18 years, so I live, eat, and breathe threat intelligence. This is something really close and near and dear to my heart. I've been with FortiGuard Labs from day one. I actually started as a threat analyst in our labs, and I've worked on a lot of these systems. I can tell you they're quite fascinating. That's why I'm here 18 years later. First of all, it starts with visibility. For actually 20 years at Fortinet, over 20 years, we've been building a foundational base, which is our telemetry. This is our Fortinet distribution network. So we take in all elements of the attack surface. We're able to see visibility and real-time data. We're able to see virus movements, exploit movements, botnet movements, all of these things through the kill chain and paint a picture. In fact, we just released our first half 2021 Global Threat Landscape Report. I invite you to go and have a look at that. It's a quite comprehensive report, but we're also able to look at more in certain regions and verticals. As an example, we work with our world-class partnerships, which I'll talk about today as well. All of those inputs come into our innovation piece. This is where we're doing machine learning models. We've had machine learning and artificial intelligence actually in place for over 10 years now. It takes time for machines to learn, so the time piece is critical. We're very powerful on the innovation piece. We have over 100 patents awarded just to FortiGuard Labs and threat intelligence. Over 800 for Fortinet as a company as a whole. So we're very strong on the innovation piece. Finally, all the outputs. How do we take all this output? First and foremost, it's customer protection. So security fabric protections, of course. This is our FortiGuard Labs subscription services. But we also put out outputs for research, right? So our security blogs, our playbooks, threat. Every week, our FortiGuard Labs team puts out a threat intelligence brief. We're also creating threat signals. So this is our breaking response, our detections, what we're seeing, our mitigation and solutions to any breaking attack. On average, we can put out 2 to 3 of these a week. It's a very active space. Finally, we also have services that we offer. So MDR and IR, incident response services, penetration testing, anti-phishing campaigns on the education front. These are all critical pieces to FortiGuard Labs. What I'm going to talk about today, though, of course, is how we're getting down to this digital DNA. So we're really relying a lot on context and also working with key industry partners. We've harmonized, I like to call it harmonizing cybersecurity. We've been doing this. This has been over 15 years of commitment. And there's different ways that we're actually working in the industry. There's the industry piece. So this is innovation. I'll talk about that. Direct with enterprise, working with Microsoft and the digital crime unit as an example, Verizon DBIR, the data breach investigation report. We're also working with law enforcement on attribution, actually arresting cyber criminals, and I'll talk about that. Of course, we need to understand who these people are, and that's the tough part. Also working with National Computer Emergency Response on disruption. So if we know there's infrastructure, malicious hosting happening in a region, how can we go to disrupt the cyber criminals? Cyber criminals have a supply chain of their own, a business model of their own. So the strategy is how we can disrupt that adversarial supply chain. Again, understanding the true makeup and the digital DNA of these attackers allows us to more effectively disrupt that model. So first of all, one thing that we're doing on the disruption part is to try to close holes before cyber criminals can get to them, right? They're creating zero-day exploits, finding vulnerabilities, exploiting these. we're trying to beat them to their game. This is a program I launched in 2006. We've discovered over 960 zero-day vulnerabilities since. That's a huge number. A lot of these are CVSS 9+ critical remote code execution vulnerabilities, meaning we're making the internet a safer place. We do this to build strong relationships. We're working with OT vendors. We're working with a whole bunch of different, across segments and verticals to be able to find those holes, build healthy, mature relationships, harden products. But the reality is a lot of the times patches do not become available for a while. And so we're actually creating virtual patches so that we can, through IPS, so we can stop attacks before patches are available. And this is a critical piece, especially when we get into the OT and critical infrastructure environment. Another innovation piece, we've been working over 10 years with FIRST.org. I'm our security liaison officer for FIRST, proud of it. We've been working for over 10 years with them. This is working with national computer emergency response teams across the globe. One of the recent projects we're actually working on is a special interest group called EPSS. This is an exploit prediction scoring system model. We're taking all of this world-class, for 20 years, that telemetry piece with FortiGuard Labs Intelligence. And by the way, we get over 100 billion potential threat events a day happening there. We're taking all that information, we consume it, and we're doing predictive modeling with machine learning. We're looking at when a new fresh vulnerability comes out, how long until it's actually used worldwide and scaled up by cyber criminals? What's the likelihood and the factors that go into that? That's part of this DNA modeling. And it's quite interesting. There's a lot of fascinating results. We've highlighted this also in the Global Threat Landscape Report, but we're already in the realm of threat intelligence working on predictive modeling and making it more accurate. Another way that we're doing the threat intelligence collaboration to really do this modeling and understand threat actors better is the Cyber Threat Alliance. We co-founded this. Originally, it was just 2 members, and Fortinet co-founded this in May 2014. I wrote the original bylaws. Today, I am so pleased with this effort. We have over 33 members now within the Cyber Threat Alliance across all verticals. We have OT specialists, we have telecommunications, we have security research professionals as an example, and we share real-time information. We've built a platform called Magellan, which allows us to share real-time information on attacks, integrated into our security stacks. We remain competitive on the action, right? So this is where Fortinet is in a strong position because we can consume all this intelligence, even from competitors, and we can put it into our security fabric, end-to-end protection. So that's resiliency, right? We also work on early sharing. We get trusted blogs from Unit 42, from Cisco Talos, from all these household brands before they go public so that we can prepare and release protections for customers, again, to disrupt that cyber criminal supply chain. We're also sharing contextual information. So we do share kill chain information based off of attacks. And this helps us to understand more of how different cyber criminal organizations are actually grouped and linked together. Just like in the world of physical crime, cyber criminals also lend a nefarious hand to one another. We're also working with law enforcement, and this is another piece of the puzzle, right? This is like that digital CSI model, how when we actually following cybercrime, how do we do attribution? How do we actually find out who these people are? That is a tough piece to answer, right? And I'm going to talk about how we're doing that. This is all through our modeling that we're doing to be able to do threat hunting and research. I'm part of a global expert group with INTERPOL. I've been there since September of 2015. So I was part of the inaugural group. We've helped to build up the CFC, the Cyber Fusion Center with INTERPOL. We've worked on an arrest and takedown of a $60 million US business email compromise ring. We've worked on several other arrests since, and we've signed a partner agreement with INTERPOL called Gateway 2 years ago. I presented at a high-level forum of ransomware with the Secretary General of INTERPOL this year as well. We're heavily involved, and it's a very key piece because we need to work together to not only disrupt cybercrime, but arrest these people as well too. Very important. Okay, so who's Mitre, right? Mitre is probably very familiar to you. We've been working with Mitre for a long time, the Center for Threat Informed Defense. And this is Mitre Engenuity. We worked with them way back in the past when we started they started Sticks and Taxi. We actually did code changes. Now those are gold standard for threat intelligence exchange, right? But yeah, we worked on this a long time ago when they were doing Sticks and Taxi. Now we're a proud research sponsor of Mitre Engenuity, CTID, the Center for Threat Informed Defense. There's about 20 different projects happening within the center, and we're actually, this is the innovation piece, working on two key projects. One is the attack sightings ecosystem, the other attack flow. Attack sightings is an ecosystem that is looking at TTP data and generating that in real time, dynamic views of actual activities, so techniques that cyber criminals are using, not just the what, the ransomware and the exploits, but how are they moving through systems? How are they getting a foothold into systems? What's their strategy? That's a big part of their digital DNA. And we're able to get that coming back in real time into our labs, and we process that. We're actually leading helping to contribute to the Sightings ecosystem project. And what we're doing is focusing on the TTPs, the techniques, tactics, procedures. These are tough, right? These are, all the traditional intelligence is following malware and hash values, IP addresses, domain names. We do that. We leave that largely to the realm of automation and machine learning and artificial intelligence. We're focused and honed in on that small portion at top, which is their DNA, right? Their strategy, their playbook. By exposing that, it really helps us to understand how we can go on the offense, how we can hit their supply chain, how we can disrupt their model effectively, take them offline effectively, coordinate those takedowns. But in order to do that, we need to really understand truly who they are, what's their modus operandi, how are they operating. If you look at Mitre Attack, it's a great matrix, very well known in the space. It's static, so there's a lot of mappings of TTPs to APT groups as an example. It's a huge list. There's over 200 of these, right? That's a very, very big list. So it's great. But again, we live in a world of information overload. So how do we start to prioritize that? Something we've done at FortiGuard Labs is we have created high resolution heat maps. This is one of my most exciting projects. This is where we can take any major region, such as EMEA, North America, Asia Pacific, etc., break it down to all the threats we're seeing, right? So exploits and botnets and all those things, but also zoom in further to a high resolution model and look at the TTP profile, right? What are the techniques, tactics, and procedures happening in that area in any given vertical? And we're able to do this on a quarterly breakdown now. And the really cool part here is, yes, we can show the entire, that 200 plus Mitre Attack matrix, but we can also just extract the signal from the noise, and we can show the relevant hot techniques, rank it by percentage, and show only the ones we're actually observing at any given point in time for a vertical or a campaign. And that brings it from 200 down to a much more manageable set of 20 to 30 as an example. This is how we're approaching it to create strategic guides for CISOs and to empower SOCs as an example to be able to prioritize response. Any one of these techniques, if you're to hover over, it will actually show you fabric protections and solution guides to it as well, a very important piece. Finally, the last thing we're doing is working with the World Economic Forum. We are a founder of the Center for CFC, the Center for Cybersecurity. One of the projects under that platform is a partnership against cybercrime. And what the PAC, the Partnership Against Cybercrime, does is it's looking at how we can actually map out, create a taxonomy, a language, a Rosetta Stone, if you will, between all the technical jargon of the private sector and what the public sector needs to understand. So what we're trying to do, it's an ambitious project. We're leading this right now, more to come on it. But what we're doing is actually mapping the ecosystem of cybercrime, not just, again, ransomware and the exploits, but we're mapping trying to answer unsolved questions like how many different ransomware gangs are there out there? How many money laundering networks are there? What's their preferred cryptocurrency platform for exchange? How many different partners are there, affiliate partners in the ransom as a service model? All of those questions we're trying to answer and really team up between public-private sector relationships is a very exciting project. Once we have all this in place, of course, the goal is we can empower disruption efforts, right? We can measure success against takedown efforts to disrupt cybercrime as well. But to be able to do that, we really have to be able to understand this digital DNA of attackers. Finally, this gives an image of, this is a very high level view of what the cybercrime landscape looks like. You have, of course, ransom as a service models, crime service enablers. You have the producers creating new malware variants, creating new exploits. You have this whole compounded cybercrime, very much similar to legitimate business models that are doing affiliates and partner programs. Some of these are making up to 80% commission on a high profile ransom payment. That's just too much. There's too many people getting involved. The pockets are getting deeper for cyber criminals. So it becomes a matter of how can we actually stop that, or not. The reality is we're never going to be able to stop cybercrime, just like physical crime in the real world, but really disrupt it and measure success against that. This is the picture we're painting. This is part of that digital DNA. But it's all the innovation pieces, all that back end, if you will, that we're doing that's really, quite frankly, pioneering at FortiGuard Labs that is making this effort possible. You can also view, we've put together new FortiGuard outbreak alerts. So these are all the big attacks that you're likely familiar with, everything from Kaseya to Print Nightmare to the Colonial Pipeline attacks, Hafnium, SolarWinds, all of these, we've broken down and we analyze each one of these. This is new on Fortinet.com. You can view that on Fortinet.com. You can go and click on any one of these and it's going to show you a much more comprehensive view of that kill chain. The attack chain and the kill chain. As an example, if we look at some examples here, we can see with Rebel as an example, what are all the different products at Fortinet that we have, all the different versions and relevant protection strategies. What does that kill chain look like for that particular campaign, right? So we walk through everything from reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery and execution to post-exploit. So for command and control as an example, all those things we put together and we track in these alerts. These are free, readily available on Fortinet.com, so please stay tuned to those. You can also check out all of our latest updates from our security blog at blog.fortinet.com. There's a threat research category. My team is always putting out new information on there. And finally, like I said, there's weekly threat intelligence briefs that you can sign up to. It's a great educational piece. It's what we're seeing every week. It's an easy digest. It's not going to take you an hour to read. An easy digest you can look at for our FortiGuard Labs updates. And also on FortiGuard.com, you can find our threat signals. And these threat signals, again, are key pieces, very agile responses to any breaking security event that we're seeing out there in the space. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I really want to thank you for taking the time and listening to my presentation. I hope that was insightful for you. Again, there's never a boring day. Like I say, there's a lot of activity happening at any given minute. It's very imperative for us to be able to do this. We're doing this as the heavy lifting. You know, we have 8 dedicated labs at FortiGuard Labs. We have over 250 world-class threat researchers and analysts. We're doing this to help you, right? We're doing this to empower and make networks more resilient so you don't have to go out and hire 30 headcount at a SOC. And we're creating new tools like this, new pioneering tools that's really allowing us to work together, have CISO board level discussions on these to be able to measure progress and really have an intelligent, response, proactive response before problems like ransomware get much worse. Thank you again for your time. Have a great day.